Goes to bad from worse for Bison football fans. We'll tell you all about that. Plus, the Dragons keep on winning and a thriller on Monday Night Football. Hot Mike starts now.
Hot Mike with Dom Izzo.
Really? Really, Dom?
No. I like what Dom's doing.
Okay.
Dom Izzo.
Jeez, come on, Dom. What do you think I am, a magician?
Yeah, I'm fired up, Dom. What else could I say?
Absolutely. It was great to get on the field, and then Dom came up to me, and I'm trying to walk away from me. I just wanted to enjoy myself out there.
Hot Mike.
Great job.
There's got to be some kind of intelligent question about something. Izzo.
Coach Dom Izzo, WDAY in Fargo, North Dakota. Can you give me a layup or something?
Hot Mike. Presented by Northwestern Mutual.
That program is second to none.
On the networks of WDAY.
You know, if it's not about sports, I find it very hard to concentrate.
Here's Dom Izzo.
Good Tuesday morning. Welcome to the Let's Buckle Up edition of Hot Mike on WDAY Extra. KSFL TV, good morning everybody in Sioux Falls, KNBN in Western South Dakota, and Inforum.com. I got two musics going at the same time there. It's freaking me out. Thanks. The weather's going to be enough to freak everybody out today. It is a typical North Dakota, Minnesota way to start a television or radio show here with that. We've already got plenty of alerts going on. I already got a couple of messages from people out by Valley City, Jamestown area. It's not great. Just got an email that came in. The UND women's basketball game that was supposed to happen tonight has been postponed. The Fighting Hawks were set to host Bismarck State up at the Betty, and that game is not going to happen tonight for obvious reasons. Driving from what is rain in western South Dakota in Bismarck to what is lots of freezing rain and snow in Grand Forks ain't going to happen. So that game is off, and that's probably the first of many that are not going to happen tonight. And we will keep you abreast of any other cancellations going on. It's a Tuesday night in December. We've got everything happening, whether it's hockey, basketball, wrestling, you name it, that's supposed to take place tonight, whether it's in Minnesota or North Dakota. There's a bunch of cancellations or schools getting out early, so we'll pass those along. We're supposed to have a basketball broadcast tonight. We will keep you posted on that if that's going to happen as well during our 2-hour tour here this morning. We got lots to unpack here. I mentioned off the top of news going from bad to worse for Bison football fans after the loss on Saturday. Excuse me, it's got even worse considering their quarterback, which we'll get into in just a little bit. We're also going to chat some hoops in the second hour of our show. We featured on our best of the weekend yesterday the fantastic Dragon win. You will hear from head coach Jason Kemp coming up in our second hour as they are off to a strong start. They've already played a couple of overtime games. They've got a road trip this weekend as they head to Minot and Bismarck coming up on Thursday and Saturday. We'll visit with him about that later on in the show. And the return of Dave Richman will join us after a couple of weeks of travel on Tuesdays. He's been unavailable to us, but back today. So the Bison are again hitting the road, not till tomorrow, which probably works out for them, knowing what the weather is going to be like as they're heading for California and then Iowa. There's no really, direct flights from Bakersfield, California to Des Moines, Iowa, but we'll chat about that coming up later on in the show this morning, including a couple of his younger guys that are really starting to stand out. If you've not paid attention to the Bison men, it's 7-3. It might be worth checking in on that in the near future here, considering they're not home again. Well, on Monday they will be. Then after that, it's New Year's Eve for the start of Summit League play. That's coming up later on in the show this morning. But first, to what we saw last night, wrapping up Week 14 of the National Football League, I will tell you, as a impartial observer, I had no rooting interest in the game last night between the Chargers and the Eagles. But it came down to two things. One, the Monsters, Inc. broadcast, which we'll show you in a second, because they keep getting better at this. It's really bleeping cool. I'll say that. Two, and I'm breaking a cardinal broadcasting rule here that I swore I wasn't going to do, is chat about anything fantasy football related. But last night, I was facing our colleague Matt Henson in our Hot Mic Challenge, and I'm in last here. I'm trying to stay away from a second last place finish in 4 years, which would be devastating. And he had three guys last night going, because he's an Eagles rube, but he had Cameron Dicker, which we'll show you here in a second, the Chargers kicker, A.J. Brown, and Saquon Barkley. I was up 60 points going in to the final and had to sweat it out because the game was, shall we say, interesting last night. Justin Herbert played because he's made of metal. No Trey Lance after Herbert broke his left hand. Seemed like Jalen Hurts was playing with a broken hand. He kept getting picked off. This already is second interception of the game for the Eagles quarterback. But the Chargers return the favor. They get to Herbert. He fumbles the football. Scooped up, though, by the Chargers. Byron Young recovers it. 5 total turnovers already here in the game. All right, late second quarter. Hurts here goes to the end zone. That's to A.J. Brown, but wait a minute. Holding penalty on Jordan Mailata. Nick Sirianni not thrilled about that. They settle for a field goal. Move to the second half. Here's a little toss to Saquon, and look out down the sidelines. That's a touchdown. Eagles go in front 16-13. It was a virtual home game on the road for Philadelphia last night. Same score. This time a tip drill and another interception. Cam Hart comes up with a pick. The 4th turnover of the game for Jalen Hurts. They get a field goal again from Dicker. You see where I'm going with this. It's tied at 16. Now it's 19-16 late. Chargers get in field goal range. Dicker drills another one. That ties the game at 19. We go to overtime. Chargers get a field goal on their possession. Philadelphia's driving. Here's a zinger from Hurts to Devontae Smith. That goes for 22 yards, and here come the Eagles. Later in the drive, this tip drill, and it's another interception. Tony Jefferson comes up with the 4th interception of the game, and the Chargers hang on and beat the Eagles in overtime, 22-19. Philadelphia loses for the 3rd consecutive game, and the Chargers get to 9-4 off a big win. So here are the up-to-date standings in the NFC after last night's game. The Rams hold the first spot. Packers have moved into the second spot by virtue of their victory over Chicago. You've got Philadelphia now by default leading the NFC East simply because the rest of the division is poor. Granted, though, the Cowboys have to win out, get some help from the Eagles. They could still win the division. Remember, Dallas hosts the Vikings coming up on Sunday night. The Buccaneers have the tiebreaker on Carolina because they have the head-to-head over the Panthers, even though they're both 7-6. And then it's Seattle in the 5 spot, San Francisco at 6, and the Bears at 7. So if the playoffs were to start today, and this is always a fun exercise to do in December, you'd have the Bears going to the Packers again for the 3rd time this season. 49ers will be playing the Eagles. Seattle going to Tampa in the longest road trip we have in the NFL, with the Rams getting the bye. And the Lions and the Panthers, the Cowboys, all in the hunt right now in the NFC. In the AFC, which is just murderer's row in terms of what we've seen, Denver has the 1 seed over New England. That's because on best win percentage in conference games, the Broncos have the tiebreaker on the Patriots, both 11-2. Jacksonville holds the 3 seed. The Steelers lead the AFC North. Those are the division winners. Then the Chargers move into the 5 spot by virtue of their win last night. Then the Bills, and then the Houston Texans. So you'd have a playoff right now in the AFC that does not involve Lamar Jackson, that does not involve Patrick Mahomes. Get ready for that, because, I mean, Baltimore's got some work to do. The Ravens are at 6-7 right now. And after they lost the head-to-head with the Steelers, and we know where the Chiefs are at, obviously. They're at 6-7 with a loss on Sunday night to Houston. So as the playoffs, what's here, New England will be hosting the Texans. Buffalo will be going to Jacksonville. The Bills will be favored there. Josh Allen and the Bills might be the team. And you've got the Chargers going to face the Steelers. AFC playoffs are going to be wild. If there's no Lamar and no Mahomes, Buffalo may actually have its opportunity. Maybe. But that's what went down last night. Now, I watched the end of the game the normal broadcast. So at the start of the broadcast, I was glued on the Disney Channel, which is on quite often in my house. It's just the circumstances. The shows aren't bad. We're big City Greens fans in my house. But they had the Monsters, Inc. broadcast last night. Now, I went down the rabbit hole with our guy Mike Zier on the best Pixar movies, which Monsters, Inc. is in my top 3, if anyone cares. Toy Story and The Incredibles are Toy Story 3 and The Incredibles go 1, 2 for me. But anyway, the technology that is able to do this is phenomenal. I mean, they started doing this a couple years ago. They did it on a Sunday afternoon game, the Toy Story deal, right? And then they brought it back and done it again. Now, here's what they did last night. And I mean, it's phenomenal how this looks. It's fantastic that you have the characters that are in the movie, whether it be Mike Wazowski, that's Billy Crystal's character, singing it, to Sully, which is John Goodman's character. Honest, my son was riveted. He watched a little bit last night, and it was bedtime, but he got up and said, hey, I recorded if you wanted to see it. Absolutely. He was glued to the TV this morning before school because this is awesome. I mean, they had Drew Carter, who we've had on this show, who calls Boston Celtics games, and Orlovsky was on the call last night. If you're trying, and the NFL always is trying to get to different audiences, this is certainly the way to go. You pair up with Disney and do something like this. I mean, watch this on the field goal. This was the Dicker kick. This is awesome. I don't play video games anymore. I imagine that's what they look like nowadays. But that was really neat. They did the slime deal for the Super Bowl a couple years ago. Nickelodeon did that when they had the Chiefs and 49ers in the Super Bowl, and they've done the slime game a couple other times. Why not? What do you got to lose here? You're not losing any. I don't imagine they sacrificed any audience last night to have that on a separate channel, because that was on ESPN2 and it was on the Disney Channel last night, or Disney Plus, whatever you desire. But that was cool. That's a neat deal for people to get into it. I'm now curious what else they could do. Like, what other ones could they go down here? They haven't done The Incredibles yet. Now, that would be neat. Depending, you could pick the 4 or the 5 members of the family. Samuel Jackson's character, Frozone. Let's go. That's the next. I nominate that one to be the next one for maybe next season. Now, the other event going on last night, the Wolves were playing, and I had 3 messages asking, hey, where are the Wolves on? Well, last night, that was a Peacock exclusive. It was not on FanDuel, not on NBC, not on ESPN. That's the new Monday package, and we'll probably explain this more once we get past the first of the year, because the new TV deal is actually the NBA put out its numbers are astronomically higher than they were last year, with NBC being in the mix. But anyway, the game on Peacock last night, the Wolves are hosting the Phoenix Suns. Wolves had won 5 in a row heading into last night's game against a Suns team that is markedly better even after trading Kevin Durant. There's an Ant Edwards jumper to tie it at 69. Now here, controversy reigns on this drive. Mark Williams goes up for the jam. Rudy Gobert shoves him in the air. Gobert got upgraded to a flagrant 2. He was ejected from the game after that. Tied at 82, late in the third. Ant drives, gets the foul. Wolves up 2 after they missed the free throw. Back come the Suns. Connell Gillespie buries the 3, puts the Suns up 7. Gillespie heating up, drills the 3. Suns on a roll here, up by 9. Now under 3 minutes to go. It's a 7-point Phoenix lead. Ant drives uncontested and scores. Wolves get within 5. 13 seconds to go. Again, uncontested layup. They're just giving it to him. Edwards had 40. The lead is down to 1. Now it's a 3-point game. 5 seconds left. Wolves actually get a couple of chances here off an offensive rebound tap out. Nas comes up short. And the Suns break the win streak of the Minnesota Timberwolves. 108-105, the final last night. Edwards goes for 40 in a losing effort. You saw the Gobert ejection. It was originally a flagrant 1. They upgraded to a flagrant 2, and that's why he was ejected from the game. But last night, the supporting cast, where was there? Jaden McDaniel's been great this year at 4 points. Nas had 6. Obviously, Rudy got ejected from the game. Dante had 2. They're not going to win any games like that. Now 15-9 on the year of the Wolves. They are not invited to the NBA Cup. That's tonight. So their next game is not until Thursday when they're on the road at Golden State. Tough one there against the Warriors. So that's what happened last night at Target Center. The Wild, though, got a nice win. They won at Seattle to wrap up their road trip after a couple of clunkers. They get a nice win to wrap things up there. We got a packed show coming up for you here on this Tuesday morning. Our guest lineup is brought to you by Northwestern Mutual. Coming up in just a few minutes, Mike McFeely will join us at 9:35. Mike wrote a lengthy column on the Bison offensive struggles of what went down in the game Saturday against Illinois State. We'll chat about that and a few other things now moving ahead as the FCS playoffs are down to the Final 8 for the first time in 15 years. They do not include North Dakota State. We'll chat about that coming up at 9:35. At 10 o'clock, Dave Richman will join us, North Dakota State men's basketball head coach, in his usual Tuesday 10 o'clock time slot. The Bison off a Summit League Big Sky Challenge sweep, beating Montana on the road and Northern Arizona in a buzzer beater on Saturday night. They're now 7-3. They get set to take on Cal State Bakersfield coming up on Thursday. We'll chat about that at 10 o'clock. And at 10:35, Jason Kemp is back with us, Dragon men's basketball head coach, after MSUM's thriller of a win over Duluth, led by freshman Isa El-Amin. We'll chat with him about that. It's a big day for Dragon athletics. Jack Strand, their record-setting quarterback, is in Las Vegas tonight for the National Football Foundation Awards. He's up for the William Campbell Award for a guy that's majoring in engineering science with a 3.7 GPA to go along with a massive right arm and thrown for 7,000 yards. He's got a chance for a pretty prestigious award. So we'll chat some Dragon stuff coming up at 10:35. That and a heck of a lot more here on a busy Tuesday morning. We'll break. We come back. The news on Cole Payton goes from bad to worse for Bison football fans. We'll chat about that. Plenty of emails still to get to as well. Glad you're joining us back on a snowy Tuesday after this. All right, welcome back, everybody. That shot makes it look pretty serene out there. We know it's not, with especially what's coming. We're gonna, well, depending on where you are, we got a high wind warning, which is always fun. Winter storm warning, not great. Winter storm advisory, so just be careful out there. And again, as we mentioned off the top of the show, if we find out any other sports cancellations, we'll pass them along with school. If they let them out early, that means after-school activities are normally banged on that. So we'll keep you abreast of anything that comes across this desk between now and 11 o'clock. And, of course, our Storm Tracker app, get that. It's fantastic to update everything that's going on, road conditions, the whole 9 yards. Just checked out my garage camera, more importantly, to see what the driveway status is. We're okay right now, but, again, it's 9:20 in the morning. Not okay is Cole Payton's thumb. If you saw the end of the game Saturday, if you were there or watching on television, the final drive that the Bison had, we'll say in quotation marks, I know they got the ball back, the third down play, which we can debate that and probably will till the cows come home, why the Bison were throwing the ball, when he dropped back and was immediately accosted by several Illinois State players and fumbled the ball in the ensuing scrum on the field, Payton broke his thumb on his left hand, on his throwing hand. And you could see immediately came back out with Dr. Bruce Pyatt and had a huge ice pack on his hand and was done and is done. And the unfortunate part now is if there was any chance for him to participate in a college football all-star game, whether it be the Senior Bowl or the East-West Shrine game, that is not going to happen. He's going to have surgery and will be unable to participate in those. I believe, from what I was being told, there was momentum that the Senior Bowl was interested in considering him for an invite, which is amazing considering he was being talked of as a tight end or another position, not a quarterback, before the season began. But now, if he's going to have a shot, it's going to be without the benefit of going to those games, going to those practices, more importantly, and getting a chance to participate in that. And that just adds, insult to or injury to insult, frankly, on what has gone down over the last 3 days, considering the football team. And briefly saw Cole after the game on Saturday, and obviously was overcome with emotion, knowing the fact, that the season was done. Heck, if the Bison had been able to pull that out, he wouldn't have been able to play. If you think about that, it'd been Nathan Hayes would have been the guy for the Bison going forward. Just that's the reality. If they had somehow gotten into field goal range and Eli Ozick makes a kick, that Peyton can't play the rest of the way, knowing that he had broken his thumb. That just thought of that dawned on me last night, knowing that would have been the case. And we got more than a handful of emails about play calling, whatever you want to take into it yesterday, and we got into quite a bit of them on the show. And again, I go back to, and we'll get into this more with Mike when he comes on here in about 10 minutes, on what the thought process was with the quarterback Saturday. Because if we're led to believe that he was 100% health-wise prior to the thumb injury, then there's a lot to be answered for on why they didn't roll him out, why they never used quarterback run game. Nothing. None of that was used during the game on Saturday. For the first time all season. Outside of the UND game, and they finally did it late in the game there, where Peyton got loose and ran a few times and set up the game-winning touchdown. Because it was not there. Now, you would argue, and I would agree with this, that after the game in Brookings, he was never as good as that night. Youngstown State, he made a few plays. Bison benefited by the fact that Youngstown had a couple of just dumb plays in that game, mind-numbing plays in that game, that cost them the chance to win. Bison defense made a couple plays as well. The NDSU special teams was good. The North Dakota game we've hashed over. He wasn't good until the very end. And I said it yesterday, and it probably sounds like excuse-making, but the fact of the matter is, of who their last two opponents were, that there wasn't going to be much stress put on the team. That's just the fact of where the schedule was. But he played a one play into the second half. That was the 60-yard touchdown he had against Northern Iowa, and didn't play the second half against St. Thomas. That he just wasn't the same of what we saw in Brookings that night. We scored 4 touchdowns. He's leaping over guys and was just the best player on the field by a million miles. Not sure if there was anything to take out of that, but clearly he got dinged up at the St. Thomas game. We know that. But if we're led to believe he was fine, I mean, if you go back and watch the celebration on the Peyton to Lance touchdown to start the game, I mean, Cole's sprinting down the field to go celebrate with Bryce. I don't know if you want to make anything out of that. But, again, if we're being told that he was okay, then what was that offensive strategy in the game? Because that was unlike anything they had done all year. They had used Peyton and an ability to, the threat of him running, like to roll him out and then either have the opportunity to throw it or he's going to go. That did not exist in the game Saturday. Instead, it was 5-step drop, and usually then he was getting met by 2 or 3 Illinois State defensive tackles or ends. That was just par for the course in the game on Saturday, and it was hard to avoid. They couldn't avoid it, frankly. There's a few others we didn't get to yesterday. This one was interesting. I didn't have a chance to read this. It's ridiculous that North Dakota AAA football didn't have the best 8 teams in the playoffs, yet it's okay that FBS doesn't have the best 12 in its playoffs. In fact, it's reason to encourage NDSU to make the jump because they could make the playoffs. What gives? And that's probably a topic for another day, but I would tell you that, first off, high school football in North Dakota is broken. We know that in terms of who they select for the postseason. I would tell you, though, if there's the opportunity, you're looking at it next week when James Madison and Tulane are playing, and I heard this being yelled about from the rooftops over the last 2 days with the Notre Dame stuff. Well, we should just have the best, no group of 5 in there, and they're not going to do that because they will lose in court. They did lose in court. That's why they have to include a group of 5 team. And you know what? If they end up saying, well, we're going to break off and do our own thing anyway, then you know what's going to happen? The group of 5 is going to say, okay, we're going to make our own playoff. And then if you're up there, then you're in that. Eventually, we're going to, and I've said this, and it's probably gotten forgotten, we're going to get to 3 levels of Division I football, right? You're going to have where Alabama, Oklahoma, Texas, those schools reside, right? The top 40. Then you're going to have the middle 100 where North Dakota State wants to be. I imagine South Dakota State wants to be. I imagine the Montanas want to be with the likes of James Madison and Sam Houston, Jacksonville State, Kennesaw. They're old buddies from FCS with the likes of North Texas, and the like. The Mo State, our friends, right? And they're going to do their own deal there. And then the rest of the FCS, right? The Tennessee Techs can hang out with Murray and Western Illinois and Indiana State and Gardner-Webb, and those schools can go and do Portland State, and they can go do their own thing, right? That's what I've been hearing for a long time. That's what you'd like to have. So then, if it does come that the Mountain West says, all right, we'd like to invite North Dakota State to join, then you have that. You say, well, you're never going to play. Okay, but you're going to have some sort of tournament. Like, I get the bowl argument, which is so silly to me, because, well, you want to go to a Houston. Well, how many times you want to go to bleeping Frisco, Texas? And by the way, they have a bowl game in Frisco. You can still do it. That part just agitates me to no end on, Gopher fans, I'm sure are pretty pumped that, hey, they got a bowl game. They're going and playing New Mexico in Phoenix. Yeah, you don't think there'd be more than a handful of Bison fans be pretty excited about going there? I mean, I just don't understand that thinking. It's so small time. I enjoy the playoff? And by the way, if they go to a playoff format, then you're guaranteed a couple more games. That part to me loses its water if we go forward on it. You want to get something in before we got to go to break?
Yeah, I was reading last night on this Notre Dame stuff, and starting next year, if they finish in the top 12 of the CFP rankings, they're guaranteed a spot in the playoffs. And if it goes to 14, then I think if they're in the top 13, they're guaranteed a spot, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Like, they keep getting guaranteed a spot in an MOU which is dumb. Like, get a part of a conference, win a conference championship, and then you can complain.
They're Notre Dame. They're not going to do that. But that's why they got that deal written into it, that they can do that. All right, let's break. We come back. McFeely will join us, chat about what he wrote about yesterday and obviously what we saw on Saturday at the Dome. That's coming up when we return after this.
Oh, it's Mr. McFeely.
I have seen the future, and he was wearing number 5, and I ain't talking about Robbie Grimsley, folks.
Took out the muffins, took out the trail mix, took out the cookies. They stole the monster cookies.
Wow, that's awesome. That is so awesome. Let's do some broadcasting.
Let's do some broadcasting. Our analytics are spiking here on a Tuesday morning because everyone's been waiting to talk to Mike on this Tuesday. Good to see you, my man. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Made it in okay from North Moorhead?
Well, once I got out of the Donner Pass up in North Moorhead, then I had to get past the burning cars and the Fargo Dome up in Florida because of what happened on Saturday, and so it was a little dicey.
But you made it in.
I saw a bunch of people like with zombie type people, the Last of Us type of situation, walking around eating each other's faces.
Can't get into the Dome. There's no football anymore.
And then you mix that in with all the idiotic tweets and cheap shots from like legitimate, apparently media members from South Dakota and other places. Yep. It's like, wow.
Yep.
Zach Borg, get a life, pal. Read a book.
So
get a dog.
You wrote yesterday on the Peyton, in which it's literally adding injury to insult of what went down at the end of the game. Just overarching, what do you, now we're 3 days removed
Yeah,
from
and I've
this.
obviously spent, in the moment, you're just trying to scramble, and we knew what we saw at the time, and you try to ask what questions you can ask, and probably didn't do a very good job of that. I think we did ask some good questions, and it's just so odd at the end of a game, but having a couple days to look it over and rewatch the game, and certainly rewatch the last two series for NDSU offensively, it just, the more you think about it and the more you sort of talk to people who know football, and the whole offensive game plan to me was odd. And I wrote about it. The lack of adjustments was odd, and certainly the play calling in certain situations was incredibly odd. And, Cole Payton did not perform to his standards for sure. He looked like he did against UND.
Yeah.
Just kind of,
sped up
to use the cliche.
That's what they say.
But, they did, I don't think they did anything to help him. They didn't, here's an easy completion.
Yes.
It's just whoa, everything just slow everything down a little bit here. It was just a gong show. And then the offensive line, that caught up to him finally. I'm sure you've talked about this. I didn't get a chance for you and Jeff to see what you guys talked about yesterday, but just a cascade of things where you went, wow, what was that? And then all of that said, they still had a 2-touchdown lead with 6 minutes left, and actually 3 minutes
to go.
A 2-touchdown lead. But just I think the 3rd and 4 call is going to go down in Bison lore as
with some other ones.
What the hell was that?
Yep.
Just recently, it's like the call that Tyler Roll made at Missoula for the 2-point conversion. That was one where you went, what in God's name was that?
That neither Cole Payton or Cam Miller was on the field in Missoula at the end
Correct.
of the game there.
And Cole Payton was running through the Grizz like they weren't there. And I think that 3rd and 4 call was baffling to everybody. I don't know what if you rewatch the play, I think they only had one receiver. I think it was Chris Harris on the left side, went and did an out to the first down marker. Everybody else was going vertical. You don't need 15 yards. You need 4. You need literally 4 yards and 1 inch. You don't even need the inch. You need 4 yards. And so, and when Tim Polsek says after the game, well, we just couldn't protect the quarterback in the pass game. Okay. So then why in that situation did you drop straight back? If you couldn't protect him for the whole game, then you came out of a timeout.
Yep.
That's the other part that in the moment on Saturday, I wasn't really thinking about it, but as I rewatched this, they were coming out of the 2-minute timeout. NDSU had 3 timeouts left. 3.
Yep.
So that was, it's like they could have burned one, but they didn't need to. But you came out of the timeout. You need 4 yards.
Yeah.
I'm not a football coach, never coached a day of football in my life. But, the best play it came up with was that?
Yes. Yep.
A big thing, I think, with Tim and, his personality, and Dan Larson, I think, kind of has a similar personality. I don't know Dan. I've talked to him twice in my life. But they're aggressive, in your face. You've seen Dan at practice. We know Tim better than we know Dan. But part of their offensive scheme or strategy is you have to stay aggressive. You have to stay aggressive. Like right before the half.
Yes,
if you recall,
that's another
mind-boggling. Why were you dropping back and passing?
There? Yes.
Well, if your mindset is you have to stay aggressive, that's a situation on 3rd and 4. No, you don't have to be aggressive. No. You have to play what the game is. And the game in that situation was, at that point, just win the game. Find a way to win the game. Right. You don't need to prove who you are. You don't need to say, look how tough we are.
Just win.
You just have to get out of there with the win and say, wow, that was, boy.
Even on the play, Mike, we're talking about, let's say that Peyton runs it, and here's the swing to Owen Johnson, which I'm never going to, that's another one I know you wrote about yesterday.
I think if you watch that, and again, I'm not a football coach, but I think if you watch that, and I had somebody that knows football a little bit more than I do, they said, I think that was like an option for Cole to either run a quarterback draw or throw the swing pass. And he chose, I think, to throw the pass, which doesn't, again, that's on the quarterback, I think.
Yep.
But
that's the fumble
it just, right. About. So I don't, it just was just a baffling set of circumstances.
So on this play, even if they decide Cole runs it for 3 yards and you punt and Bickerton is hammering the heck out of the ball. So it goes to the Illinois State 30, then at least they have to drive 70 yards. They're going to have to spend at least a timeout, right?
Brock would have had to use a timeout to stop the clock. If NDSU didn't get 4 yards.
Right.
Right? So you would have had one timeout.
One gone.
And if Bickerton can get the punt off, and he had been hammering them for most of the game.
Right.
You make him at least go 50 yards.
Right.
Worst case scenario, you make him go 50 yards.
If he shanks it, right.
Yeah, best case scenario,
maybe it's
75 yards.
Okay.
You get a bounce of the punt, it's 80 yards.
Correct. Yep.
And it's like, even at the time, and I'll say this, is, you were in the press box next to me.
Yep.
Kolpak was on my right. And when they came out of the 2-minute timeout, I said to both of you, I go, whatever your best third and four play is,
this is it.
This is where you dial it up. Whatever it is, I don't know what it is, but whatever your best third and four play is, you better call it here. And then a few seconds later, all of us, when he dropped back, all of us went, "What are you doing?"
Yeah, right.
And then it turned into a disaster. With the strip sack. It just didn't make any sense.
Email came in, Mike, why not get him out of the pocket to avoid losing the ball on a strip?
And again, this goes to that play, but it goes to the game as a whole. I think they ran one bootleg.
Yeah.
They never moved him out of the pocket.
Never.
They didn't move. They talk about moving the pocket, and that was a play where I think my game column I wrote, like, why not roll him out or bootleg to give him an option.
Yes.
Like if somebody's there 5 yards, dump it. If not, just run. He's 6'3", 240 pounds.
Yeah. Even if he falls forward, he gets 2 yards. Right.
And so, just all of it was, but the entire game, they never moved the pocket. And then the other thing that showed up and we said, this was really an all season thing, is, Cole Payton was really dangerous with his legs, but it was mostly out of the scramble.
Mm-hmm.
There weren't many designed runs, and that was sort of a what's the word I'm looking for? Like a characteristic of their offense all year, and is that the offensive coordinator? Just that's not what like his personality. He does this or he does that, or is that Tim saying we're not going to? But again, you can go back in history for 15 years, and when it was cutting time, it was cutting time, no matter who was the head coach, no matter who was the offensive coordinator, what did NDSU do when it was time to win a game? And certainly when it was time to get 4 yards.
You got to run the ball.
With
the quarterback.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And in this game, they ran one quarterback, called quarterback run.
Yep.
In the championship game against James Madison, Trey Lance ran like 26 times.
I think it was 30. I think
it was 30.
30 times against JMU.
And after that game, I asked Tyler Roll on the field, like, wow. I mean, and Tyler looked at me and said, if you take the best player in FCS football and you don't try to win the game with him, I think you're pretty stupid.
Yes.
And so they put it on his. And it was ironic that right before that play where they dropped back, I watched the ESPN replay. They showed the Carson Wentz play in Frisco.
Yeah.
Was that 4 yards?
Correct.
I'm not sure it was. I'm not sure that it was. So it was ironic, but
I think it was 5 actually. It might have been 5.
But when you show that play, NDSU needed 5 yards. to win a national championship, to win the game.
Yeah.
They'd given up the 70-yard run to Trey Roberson or wherever that was to win the game. They used his arm to get to where they were, but when it came to cutting time, the offensive coordinator in that game was
Tim Polasek. Yeah.
But when it came down to we need to win this game in Fargo, they didn't do that. It was just so many odd things. So many odd things.
All right, let's break. We got a bunch more emails coming in. We'll chat with Mike about that and look ahead to now. Is it a wide open Final Eight who could win this here?
Who cares?
We'll discuss that on the other side. We're back after this. Since last season, NDSU unleashed Cam Miller in the last two playoff games. Both the Jackrabbits and Montana State to run the ball. Ran it 33 times for 3 touchdowns, over 200 yards. Cole Payton is more of a weapon than Miller on the ground. The blatant disregard for quarterback run rollouts on Saturday was some of the worst play calling in Bison history. It was awful.
Yeah, plus, if you think back to last year, I thought at times NDSU, especially in crucial third down situations, they sort of lived off the quick passing game.
Yeah.
If you think back to a couple really big third downs that NDSU got, involved Rajon Nelson.
Boys, there was 3 of them in the national championship
game.
game.
In the national championship game, the quick slant right before the half to Bryce Lance for the touchdown. Kemp took one step back, and boop, Bryce had the guy one-on-one and just blocked him out of his body, and it was a touchdown, and it was huge. They did not throw a slant.
No.
They didn't try. I don't think they ever had a guy going toward the middle, across the middle of the field for 5 yards.
Like the Chris Harris, that wasn't 5 yards, but that Chris Harris play early, but it was behind him, but that was down the field. That was like a 15 to 20
Yeah, but that wasn't,
yards.
I'm talking like a 5-yard play. I mean, they just didn't have any of that dialed up.
How much is it that this was Peyton's first playoff start? Is there anything to that in your mind?
Yeah, I mean, I think it could be. I mean, it's, Tim mentioned after the game multiple times about the human element entering the picture. And I suppose, once things got tight, or it's like, okay, you gotta make some plays here.
Right to what you were talking about. Yeah.
They just didn't make the plays. But the odd thing was, I was asked on a South Dakota radio station yesterday, do you think NDSU overlooked them? And I said, well, no.
No way. Yeah.
They came out right away and got a 3-and-out stop.
Yeah.
And then hit a 78-yard touch. They were up 14-0.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, if anything, early on, it looked like the team that wasn't ready to go
was Illinois State. Yes.
They gave up the I don't know what happened on that touchdown play. The kid got just burned, and then nobody touched Jackson Williams on the punt return. It was terrible coverage.
Yep. Correct.
And then NDSU the 69-yard touchdown run was a big play.
The Victor Dawson touchdown.
I mean, that's sort of like okay, all right.
Illinois State some juice.
And then the touchdown right before the half.
Yes, I thought that was a big one.
But I just can't look at the defense and say
no way. No,
I just can't look at the defense and go, it's you gave up 422 yards, but you were on the field from June till September. So I mean, you're going to give up. As I wrote in my column yesterday, after the 78-yard touchdown pass, NDSU ran 45 plays, which is not a lot. They averaged 1.2 yards.
Wow.
Or was it 2.1?
It
was 2.1.
That's just unbelievable.
2.1 yards a play.
Wow. Another email. We've seen both UND and SDSU players post intent to enter the portal. No news so far from North Fargo. Understand we got a month to sit in our hands to see who stays. How about coaches? Well, that's the thing.
Well, that's, you guys have talked about this was, now instead of showing up and having, going to practice and seeing the coaches every day and, they always talk about, I want to be out there with my brothers and all this other stuff.
Just interaction.
Now they're all scattered because they're going their separate ways for vacation, Christmas or family. And Matt Entz, I think, used to tell us everything is fine until they get back home.
Yes.
Until they go back home and they're around their old high school coach or their old teammates or their family or their AAU coaches or whatever. And then things get a little
and
sticky.
I'd say there's probably, Mike, 13 to 15 guys they're going to have to sweat out, I think.
You can name the ones that are obvious. Toby and Nene was fantastic.
Great. Donovan Woolen
is fantastic. Keenan Wilson, is fantastic. Jackson Williams is fantastic.
Staling.
Yeah, he's only got 1 year left, though. But yes, for sure.
Griffin Empey.
Bo Johnson. I mean, all the usual suspects, you can look at them and go,
well, look at what we've done this, and we've done this now for 3 years. What is getting the most money in the portal? Offensive and defensive linemen. That's point right there.
And I don't know this, and so I don't know Mackay at all, so I don't mean to throw his name out there willy-nilly, but I will. But, Mackay's a guy that all the guys now that he's been with for all these years, and we hear that a lot too, like guys,
you're exactly right.
Like guys who have been here 4 years ago, you know what? All my guys are gone. So I'm just going to go someplace else and play a year and try to get more involved with the offense. I mean, I don't know that. That's history shows that happens sometimes.
It's just that's the when the longer, and Polisic said this a couple times after, we want to get in front of our guys. We want to get in the post-game press conference. He's talking about the guys.
But none of that. I mean, that's God bless him. And he's right, and you have to you're always recruiting guys now, and that's one reason, again, why Chris Kleiman was on the sidelines on Saturday.
Exactly right.
Is that. But you can do all of that, but when
I know.
Texas Tech has a whatever. What did I read somewhere? Like their defensive line at Texas Tech is like a $7 million defensive line. When you're 5 defensive linemen or whatever it is, 4 are averaging $1.75 million for 1 year. Like, you can talk brotherhood and
your hat and say,
all you want and go, you know what? Good luck.
Exactly right. All right, we got to roll. Richmond's coming up. Just a quick word. David's team won 7 of 8. What do we make of?
I know that this is a football town, but Bison men's basketball is playing really well. They're pretty good. They're going to struggle at times on offense, but defensively, Dave's got them playing their keisters off. Mm-hmm. Bison women's team is ranked 47th in the net rankings.
That's all right.
They're not that far behind South Dakota State in the net rankings for what that's worth. They're pretty good. Moorhead State men, they're pretty good. They're going to be up and down with a bunch of guys. Dragon women started the year ranked pretty high within the conference. They're okay. Concordia women, they're pretty good.
Yeah.
A lot of good college basketball in town this year.
Just open your horizons,
right? Just, get out of the Jack Daniels bottle and stop watching the game on replay. And
wipe the drool away from your mouth.
Do what I did on Sunday and go ice fishing and have a grain belt and go home and watch a basketball game.
Good to see you, bud. Safe travels out there, all right?
Yep.
Mike McFeely joins us each and every Tuesday at 9:30. We'll break. We come back. We'll start our second hour. Dave Richman coming up. Chat about those Bison men as they get ready for a trip to California. It's coming up. We come back.
This is Hot Mike. Hot Mike. On the networks of WDAY. Here's Dom Izzo.
I think just like Dom's outfit, they're not always pretty. Sometimes they're really ugly. But
just been all over Amazon and just about every site looking for these mustard pants.
And my wife will tell you, she wants to burn mine.
People actually listen to your show.
They watch.
They watch it.
Yeah.
Play defense in that first half like Dom transitions to you after the game. It's way too long, way too lazy, but
you got all these answers. I'm going to bring you over and have you do our non-conference schedule.
I'd love to. I'd love to go to Grand Canyon,
I would
man.
love.
Hey,
will you come with? That's not the thing.
I love when you're on Dom. You're so transparent. And I'm like, so 2 things are happening. That one, people are watching your show, listening.
Yes.
Right? That caught me a little off guard. I'm just being honest.
And listening here this morning because we haven't seen our guy in a couple weeks. Dave Richman joins us. His appearances are brought to us by Northwestern Mutual. First off, we had some video a couple weeks ago of you in Bismarck, North Dakota, cheering like a madman as your daughter won the state volleyball championship. That was pretty good stuff. You're a crazed volleyball dad. Is that accurate?
I tell you what, I had an absolute blast, and certainly, like anything, winning helps. But I was a very, very, very proud dad, not just of Brindley, but their entire teammates, her entire teammates, that whole team, the coaches, the support staff, the ADs, Mr. Moe. Man, it was a different deal. You sit on the other side, and I was never a state champion, Dom. I never was, and I always wanted it. And but you also want a life better for your own kids, and Stephanie and I got to experience that in Bismarck, and we just could not have had a better experience. And just an incredible group of parents, top to bottom. The girls were great. They supported each other. Anytime I'm obviously biased to the coaches, but Leah and her staff did a tremendous job and a really, really cool experience.
How ridiculous also the schedule work that you could go. I mean, it's November. You're normally traveling from, East Coast to the West Coast. That actually worked out.
Yeah, especially that time of year where there was MTEs and certain, requirements but I liked it. I did. I liked it selfishly for myself to be out there, but I liked it for our guys because, we were strategic in setting up some things where it looked a lot like Summit League play, where we would play or play a couple days off. We even played a back-to-back to simulate some, Saturday, Sunday, hopefully championship stuff. And, when you're playing, I was actually talking to Jory yesterday. They're only playing, I think, 13, maybe 14 non-conference games. We're going to play all 15. We still have 5 of these things left, but and next year being able to go up to 32 games, how do those windows look? But we're playing games, and then you're wise in your time away, and I'm very appreciative of the staff. I'm very appreciative of our guys. There was one little workout that I wasn't around. And I would tell you this, like I'm not hiding behind anything. Maybe 7 years ago when I first got there, there'd been some guilt or whatever, but I've told our guys, I've told my family, I want to be a great dad. I want to be a great husband. I want to be a great basketball coach, great leader. And there's not many other things I do because the more you add to your plate, those other things start to suffer. But to fit it all in, was truly a wonderful experience for our entire family.
It was good stuff, Matt. I'm glad you were able to do that. Before we talk about your current team, I posted this morning, 19 years ago today, it was one of the great games in the history of the BSA. It's when the Kansas State Wildcats were here. What do you remember about Bob Huggins and K-State coming to town?
I remember the warm welcome he got from the fans.
Yeah, right.
I remember Miles getting the addresses of the officials so he could send them Christmas cards afterwards. All those things. But
man,
an unbelievable environment, unbelievable game. Gosh, in so many ways, shapes, and forms. I wish we could. And I know you're the scheduling guru. If we could get a Pac or a Big 12 team back here and a 2-for-1, 3-for-1, whatever it takes. It was great. It was great, and we lost that game. But I think that was a sign of things to come. That group was not going to back down. That they were going to be competitive at a bunch of different levels. And but too, like you go back to it. I don't remember if Hugs was there when we scheduled it, but whoever scheduled it, I give them credit too for being competitors. And now you fast forward in. Tim Miles, Saul Phillips, Dave Richman, now even Jason Kemp have been, head coaches at a certain level. Bob Huggins, Brad Underwood, and the guy that's at UMass now that was, at K-State in South Carolina for a while. There's a photo Miles took of all of us one time. So, just a cool game. Tells you what can happen in 19 years.
That was a foul too, right? They missed that at the end of the game.
Yeah, they didn't call it, so it wasn't a foul, but they should have called it, so it should have been a foul. Can I say that now?
Absolutely. I think the limit of statute of limitations is gone there. But
here's the other thing, Dom. Like we've been winning some games, and to your point, things have been good on the home life. But I just had this empty feeling, like something's not right. Thanksgiving, holidays, so much, and then we haven't had the show for 2 weeks.
Yeah, right.
Now I'm complete. Now I'm full.
Let's chat about your ball team here. I want to go back to the trip in Arkansas where I'm sure you're thinking you're this close to being 2-0. How'd you feel like the guys played down there?
Yeah, no, I felt like we played great. And I say that, thinking about a possession here, a possession there. And you go down into a Jacksonville State team that plays a different way. They're Coach Harper's done it a long time. They've got some dudes. They're competitive, and we didn't play very well offensively, obviously, but we hung in there. I thought we fought, competed defensively, competed on the backboards, a little bit like the first half, against Northern Arizona the other day. And then I knew the deck was stacked against us. Where Arkansas State had played Monday, we had played Wednesday. We'd been sitting in a hotel a little bit, so I really. I had my antennas up to see how the Bison were going to come out. And we came out of the Great Skate, out of the gates great, and Damari got going like you'd expect. Arkansas State, it's a great program. They invest a lot into it. I think their NIL. It's a tournament where they paid for us to come there. So again, there's a bunch of things, but to our guys' credit, we went blow for blow. It was a heck of a college basketball game, and we had some opportunities in regulation to close that thing out. We just weren't able to do it. And you go back to that Oregon State game, you go back to that Arkansas State game. Unfortunately, there's pain in the process, and you got to go through unfortunate experiences. But I think those two opportunities, Oregon State and Arkansas State, made us better, made us more prepared for Montana, last Wednesday, which we were able to take care of business.
I want to dovetail off of that because Trayson Anderson, I thought, was sensational in your game in Missoula, and I thought he was really good Saturday night against NAU. What have you seen here over the last few games that he's starting to come into his own?
Yeah, I've just seen this right here, and I don't know, the poor kid, he can't catch a break from me because I only see all the little warts and things like that, because the 5 is such an important position for me, and it's such a great developmental position too. And I was getting on him about a couple things, and then you check the box score against NAU, and the kid's got 8 and 8 in 16, 17 minutes. I could not be prouder of a young man. His mother dropped him off here a couple years ago and said, "Here you go. He's going to need some tough love." And he's gotten a bunch of tough love from me at the very top. He continues to show up. He continues to respond. And he's taken the word potential and he started to, change that word in production. And that's really encouraging. I still know there's a better version of Noah Feddersen out there. But you're starting to see some tag team 1-2 things that we can get from both of those guys, and me being transparent, we've even started to work some things in practice where maybe those two can play together, and we'll see how that transpires throughout the season. But very, very proud, very, very pleased for Trayson, and I continue to think like he's still scratching the surface of that game conditioning piece, to being able to punch through a couple walls.
Is that, and you kind of answered there, Dove, can he earn more playing time? You see that as a potential to do that if it means Noah doesn't play? Is that part of it too?
Yeah, I mean, it's my responsibility, no matter what I think of you as a person, to put the 5 best guys on the floor at that particular time that are going to help us win games. And that's a responsibility, a privilege that I accept and really relish. And you go back and you start to look at some of his minutes compared to Noah's minutes. They were almost even against Montana. Trayson's getting, I think he was up to 17, maybe 18 and against NAU, and they were never in together too. So, it's encouraging. And I also think it's, we're having a better grasp. Josh Jones and I were talking about some things during the game, after the game, where just trying to put those two in better situations offensively, defensively, and then also minutes and rotation-wise to help them, but ultimately help us a little bit. And it's encouraging. I think the other cool part about it is they're great teammates. They're great winners. They're guys that are happy for each other. And that's a really cool thing as a head coach to see.
I asked you post-game on Saturday about Travion Carson. You immediately answered about him being a winner, but his athletic ability just jumps off the screen, or if you're watching in person, literally jumping. I mean, his ability to go in the paint and not be, he's out-heighted by 7-8 guys, and he's in there and out-rebounding. That's awfully impressive, at least to me, a not great basketball mind. Describe that of what his ability in there to go out there into the trees and out-rebound dudes.
Let's make sure we get that quoted, not great basketball mind, because finally you said it. We've all been thinking about
exactly.
I don't know where to start. I don't know where to stop with that young man right now. He's exceeded expectations, but because of that, now he's created new expectations. He's a damn good player,
yeah.
and I say that like he's a player. He can score the basketball. He can distribute the basketball. He can rebound the basketball. He can defend on many things. His analytical numbers, from a value of being on the court, are through the roof. And there's a decent gap too between, him being at number 1 and then our number 2. And that's not taken away from our number 2. That's just saying how impactful he is. And I think the other thing, what you're seeing, you talk about the explosiveness and some of the athleticism piece is you give Travion credit for trusting and embracing a process and a culture, meaning like what Jason does in the weight room, what Jason does from a nutrition standpoint, it's hard. It's tough to accept. But Travion accepted it, and now thankfully he's had validation, and he's moving better, he feels better, he's jumping higher, and now he's completely tied in and bought into those things. And you're seeing a young man that is impacting the game in a lot of different ways. And we know you and I talked about it. We felt like we had something in the summer.
Yep.
We felt like we had something in the fall. I didn't think he shot the ball great early on out of the gates. He responded to some coaching things, that we were able to give him. And he's very, very impactful. He's hard to take off the floor, and you trust him. And then to go out and 10 games in to have a double-double, to have multiple games of double-digit rebounds as a 6'3" guard. I think the other piece, too, that I love about him is he's a Monday morning guy. Last Monday morning, he's in there competing. Yesterday, I challenged our guys. I said, if I can coach one of, if not our best player, the hardest, that's a good sign. And I said, Travion had 19 and 12, but crucial turnover here. I didn't love the way his intensity was to start the game and some of those things. And he's sitting there like, yep. And now your rest of your group sees that. That's when you got to sign to something special.
I got to ask you, now you're a third of the way in. You played 10 games. I told you 7-3 if we're back in Sioux Falls. What would you told me if I said, hey, it's 7-3 through the first 10?
Yeah, no, again, I said this to Fetty yesterday in some conversations. We're probably a game or two ahead of where I thought we would be, just from a standpoint of wins and losses. And I think that's a credit to our guys, meaning like they've come in, they've gelled, they've accepted some things, and we're not perfect. You can do the coaching thing. I would love, from my standpoint, to have the UC Davis came back. I thought, I thought we went away. I went away from some things maybe a little bit early in that game. I'm not saying we would have lost or would have won, would have lost, whatever. But I'd love to do some things differently in that game, knowing now what I know about our group. But also too, you have some one possession games where Arkansas State, Oregon State, NAU, where that's life, and that's part of the encouragement thing too, where we have to be able to find ways to continue to get better, and I see that in a lot of ways. We're experimenting with some guys, Tay Smith, Max Marley, that Tay's minutes have gone down. Max hasn't had many minutes, based on health, sickness, some things like that. I think they can help us too in some certain spots. Can we move some pieces around? That's what's exciting about this group. You look at the bench when our team is having success, they're all behind it. I made a conscious decision. There's a lot of crap in this profession right now. There's a lot of sacrifice that we make as coaches and staff to be away from our families. Like, we're going to do it with really good dudes, and we got really good dudes that are excited to be winning games, excited about our process, and thankfully right now, I'm knocking on wood. Things are good, moving in a healthy direction.
All right, let's break. We come back more with David. We'll chat about the upcoming road trip to California and Des Moines to see old buddy Eric Henderson and the Drake Bulldogs. It's coming up. Other side of the break. We're back on Hot Mic right after this. Welcome back, everybody. Looking at downtown here. Just got a phone was blowing up that Moorhead schools are getting out early today. No after-school activities as well. So for those that are counting on Davies Moorhead basketball, which we were, that is not happening tonight. So just the start of, we mentioned many more coming. So everybody be safe out there traveling-wise. Back with David Richman. His team is traveling tomorrow out to California and then to Iowa, which is, again, the journeys of mid-major basketball. Bakersfield, you saw twice last year. You went there, they came here. In this day and age, though, is anybody the same? Is this anywhere close to what the group you saw last year, or no?
Oh, I mean, there's a couple pieces, and the head coach is now gone. There's a situation there this fall, and the interim coach has done a tremendous job of holding that group together. So there'll be some similarity, but you're right. I think it was you and Steeman talking at our NAU game, like the preseason polls and all that stuff. Like it's more meaningless than ever. But this is the challenge. This is the beauty. This is the challenge that we have to accept, where you're gonna travel out to California and play a good team, and you're going to turn around the next day and travel to Des Moines, a logical transition, right? and play a very good team, and then turn around and travel home and be in the right space mentally for a non-Division I Crookston opponent that's going to come right at you. 3 games in 5 days, and I love it. I love challenges. I love being uncomfortable. I love opportunities, and especially love it with this group.
First off, let's go back. You actually watched the broadcasts? Because I'm waiting then for my feedback, like how I did. Is that coming?
Well, I have this. We have this tool where I'm able to. It must be AI, where I can just eliminate a voice.
Mute me.
So I don't want anybody that is a self-proclaimed not basketball mind feeding bad information into my ear. Not that Steeman's brilliant. He did offer me a $500 scholarship, so that tells you what he knows about what basketball. But yeah,
you know what?
I like to feel better about myself. Actually, that's why I listen to you guys.
You've opened up Pandora's box here at the station. If people could mute me here, they would do it in a heartbeat. Okay, so if you're do not open this idea up. Okay,
I think that's the biggest thing. Is like today after a 2-week hiatus, like the rating spike is going to be. I don't know if your computers right now are probably smoking.
How do you go from Bakersfield to Des Moines? There's no direct flights. How's that work out?
Yeah, no. Our foundation, we just got a deposit from Dom Izzo, your big salary, and we're gonna charter. That was really nice of you.
Hey, you know what? Do what I can.
To chip in on those things.
How about facing old friend Eric Henderson? What did it match up there with Drake? Everyone knows the pedigree of that program. That's a big challenge for you guys coming up on Saturday.
I mean, everybody wants to make this thing about Eric and Dave. Like, how about we just play one-on-one?
Well, now that'd be fun. Let's televise that
for somebody. Like this is no joke. This is embarrassing. It really embarrasses my ego. But speaking of how the great run of Cheyenne volleyball, after the Shanley game, and it was at Shanley against West Fargo where we got beat.
Okay.
I was just kind of lightly jogging out to the car, and then my wife started lightly jogging, and so we ended up racing, and I popped literally like I didn't think it was possible, but I heard the pop in my left hamstring, and I'm telling you, my hamstring didn't hurt half as bad as my ego. Partly because my hamstring back, and I'm going to admit, I think my wife was going to beat me in the race too. But I don't know how we got onto that, like anything. But yeah, no, I'm happy for Eric. Eric's an Iowa guy. Rob Klinkfus is a great friend. He's an Iowa guy. Really cool experience for them to be back there. I know. They've dropped a couple in particular home games in the last couple of years. There's been a lot of success at Drake and all those things. I know that Hendo is the right guy for that job, but I also know that I hope we can put another notch in their home losses coming up on Saturday.
Are you at the point yet where you're looking around what anybody's doing the summit? I asked Jory this last week. Is it too early yet?
Oh, I mean, I'd be lying if I didn't tell you I check box scores and you see different things like that, and you can see a little bit of things to take shape. But then, like Omaha doesn't have a great record. Well, you find out like 3 of their dudes are out.
Yeah.
So there's just a lot of volatility. And then the other thing is, and it's another challenge which we welcome and accept. But when you play non-conference games, I cannot tell you the variety of styles that you play, and
Yep.
All kinds of athletes that we're going to play on Thursday night. Okay. Go back to Saturday. Like NAU was, in all defense, maybe not the most talented, but like scrappy, tough, fought. Like we earned everything. And it was ugly at times. And I told Shane, their head coach, afterwards, man, you got a tough, scrappy group. They're going to win some games. They're going to be a tough out. But that's the beauty of non-conference play. So I think you can start to tell a little bit. But I could really tell, like, this is good. When I was talking to Ryan at Arkansas State, and I know him a little bit, so we're getting information back and forth, and I'm just writing all the things he's saying down about our group, and then he goes, "All right, your turn," and I go, "I watched about a half of your game. Like, my focus is just Bison. How do we get better?" Now our staff does a great job of preparing us, but we are so principle sound defensively, or we need to be. Strage does a couple tweaks here and there, but it's how can we get us better? And we're moving in a good direction.
Email comes in to ask, seems like Dave and Sam really bond during their interviews. Is that accurate? You and Sam got something going there during games at halftime?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I like, as long as we don't get any questions about the opponent or anything like that, Sam's great. Like, I will say this. Sam had a lot of questions for me after the game.
Yeah.
Usually it's 2, maybe 3. I think there was 4 questions.
Yeah, I know it. He was ready.
I'm like, Sam, Travion Carson just had a double-double. Get him on here. Nobody wants to talk to me anymore.
All right, that's a perfect segue there.
I appreciate Sam.
He does a great job. Safe travels, bud. Good luck on Thursday. We'll talk to you next week, okay?
Appreciate you.
There he goes. Dave Richman joins us each and every Tuesday at 10 o'clock. We haven't seen him in a couple weeks. I can do this now that he's off the Zoom, Eric. And Matt, that the bracketology is out today from Joe Lenardi. North Dakota State is there. And that's, again, we want to go down that road. How Lenardi does this, basically looks who's leading this league and pencils them in. The Bison are in first in the Summit League right now on December 9th, but has NDSU as a 15 seed playing BYU, who has the number 1 high school player in the country playing on their roster as a 2 seed in Portland, Oregon. I mean, right now, let's just see how it goes. The whole season, we know, boils down to the 3 games that they have to play in Sioux Falls in March. But Dave's team's talented. They've got some dudes, and we'll see how this road trip goes. We'll see them back home on Monday against Crookston. That's their final non-conference home game, and then it's on to Summit League play right on New Year's Eve with South Dakota coming into the Shack. All right, we'll break. We come back. Another former Bison assistant, now the Dragon head coach, Jason Kemp, will join us after the Dragons thriller over the weekend against Duluth. That's coming up. We come back. Welcome back, everybody. Snow flying here. Again, we mentioned earlier, Moorhead School's getting out early. Any other announcements? News is coming up at the top of the hour here on Extra right after we're done to give you the update on what's going on there. So, we continue our basketball hour here from one former Bison basketball assistant to another as Jason Kemp joins us. So, I started my conversation with Dave that today, December 9th, 2006, is a rather infamous date in Bison basketball history. Does that ring a bell at all to you?
Oh, I am guessing is that Kansas State?
It is Kansas State, yes.
State. Crazy.
Okay, where was your position on the bench then at the end of the game?
I was right behind Miles, ready to tackle him if he tried to kill a ref. But that was a foul.
Oh gosh, yes.
I've talked to Frank Martin on the road. I've talked to Bob Huggins on the road. I've talked to Brad Underwood before the game to revisit that moment, and they all say it was a foul.
Wow.
So it was 100%. There's no question.
There were 6,000 people in the BSA that night. I mean, it was just fantastic.
It's of all the things that I've done since then, right? And this little basketball journey I went on, like that night is still by far the most crazy, like insane. The twists and turns in the game.
Oh,
they didn't call. I remember that there was a play on the baseline where Austin Pinnock took a charge under the backboard, which by rule it doesn't matter. The block charge at that point. It was a charge and they didn't call it, and there was about to be a riot in the BS. It was amazing. It was amazing.
Well, where the students used to be, man, it was just sensational because they were right there, and Huggins loved it too. That was that made the whole thing. Just everything was charged up that night. It was a Saturday night. It was fantastic.
One of the best environments. He still says that to this day.
And there's no way those games happen anymore, right? I mean, you did this at the big level before coming to Moorhead. Like those games don't happen anymore. No way.
No, at Minnesota we wouldn't dare. Yeah. We would not dare.
Yeah.
So.
You had a thriller of your own. Actually, before we get to this, I had Dave said, "Tell me, have Jason tell a story here." So he had said something about New Jersey Tech in either badminton or pickleball. What does that?
Oh, God.
What does that come to mind?
Yeah, NJIT. That was like 2005.
New Jersey
when
Tech,
we were trudging through the Great West Conference that Coach Miles made up. And,
yes, that's right. His own league. That's right.
You know, they were doing the same thing as us, trying to go from Division II to Division I. We were running a little bit more of a buttoned-up operation at NDSU. They were kind of doing the same deal, and so their gym had a drop-down curtain and a makeshift court on the other side. But during the game, the curtain was up, and they were playing badminton for intramurals while we were playing a Division I basketball game. So those were some lean years. I'll tell you, but we did good with them.
I think I remember Miles showing me the video from out there, and like this it was on a camcorder. Like, this is the actual game tape of this happening. Oh my god!
We were changing for the game in a general locker room, and there were like professors that were toweling off after they were done with their workout. It was amazing.
Division I. You want to be a Division I coach, right? There you go.
Yeah, hey, that's what it takes. We'll go for it.
Well, congrats on a crazy game. We showed it yesterday at our Best of the Weekend, the game on Saturday against Duluth. Just, you've been part of, I know, some wild finishes. To have East LME as a freshman come up and did what he did there, hit the game-tying shot and the game winner, just describe what that kind of performance was like for your team Saturday.
Well, the amazing thing is I haven't talked much with Issa about basketball. I've talked a lot with him about his approach and his mindset and his just his ability to just endure and be resilient, which those are some qualities you have to have as a point guard, especially as a freshman. I saw it with Ben Woodside. He just like believed in himself unequivocally. There was nothing that could rattle that guy. You know, and then some of the other good point guards like Coach Lawrence Alexander and Jason Preston at Ohio, Elijah Hawkins at Minnesota, like there's something different you have to have when it comes to facing challenges and adversity. And I think he's done a good job responding to that. And it's led him to this point where he's got this unbreakable spirit. And it's crazy to say because he's such a different person, but he kind of looks like his dad right now a little bit. And that's what excites me. You know, it's in his DNA.
We're watching the shot he hit off the miss on the free throw. Take me through that, where you're at. First off, how you guys got the offensive board and then to hit the shot.
It's interesting because they fouled right away. And so, like, I try to stay pretty rigid on when you're up 3, you foul. My number is 7 seconds, right?
Okay.
And then, you know, if you're trying to intentionally miss, my number is it has to be under 7 seconds. So we weren't trying to intentionally miss. There were 7.5 seconds. We were trying to extend the game one more time, right? But, you know, Levi goes to the free throw line, makes the first, we're down 2. I'm saying make the second, we're going to quick trap foul again, and we'll have one shot. You know, we have a play we call first down that Saul used to run to get the ball to half court and then run your last second play to get the shots you need. But he missed the free throw. And anytime in a late game scenario where you've got, you know, you're shooting a free throw, we have our 2 guys under the basket cross. And so Rod Payne did a good job getting to the middle of the floor. Sam Hondel, who I absolutely love because he just plays so angry, basically tackled this guy. and then it was like the perfect miss. And Tyson was just quicker to the ball. And I think Issa's guy they were back there kind of having a conversation. And as soon as we got the rebound, he just ran up to the top of the key and fired it. And I knew it was going in when he let it go. It was just having one of those games.
What does that do for not only him, but your team have a win like that?
Yeah, I think for him it validates that he belongs here as a good player in a really good conference. And as a freshman, that's worth its weight in gold because everybody has that breakthrough moment at some point where they feel like, I can do this every game. So I think he's there. As far as our team, man, it just when you bring in 9 new guys and there's 6 guys left from the previous staff that really contributed in certain ways, but not as an impactful way. It gives them, it's proof positive for them that we can win now. We don't have to wait. This isn't a rebuilding year. It's proof positive for them that we put together a good product and these guys can win right now.
What is there anything that changed after we talked about it, the start you had and then the win over Black Hills the last time you were on? Just is that, I guess, verified where you're at right now after and you play 2 really good teams to start that we're molding into something that we really like once you get now into the grind of NSIC play?
Yeah. Our first weekend was so challenging. We talked about that before in Kansas against the number 2 team in the country and against Pitt State with Jeff Boschee. Like we didn't, I felt like we were competing, but we weren't doing anything we practiced. And so when I went back and watched the games, I was like, we didn't execute anything we practiced at all. So I attributed those losses, as a head coach to that right there. Mm-hmm. A little bit of it, you say the same thing about NDSU. Is just we just didn't. They didn't know what I wanted, right? And so we took a few days, and I just kind of was like, you're gonna do exactly this and nothing else, and it started to register with them. And then once they saw the fruits of their labor, and when I do this, I have success. I think it all started to come together a little bit. Now they've totally bought in.
Now you got a road trip here to Minot for a Thursday night game, and then Saturday, the University of Mary. This is the last little bit of games before the Christmas break for a couple weeks. Describe where you want to have this team at when you come back for the start of 2026.
Yeah. Well, we're fortunate to be in the position we're in. Obviously, we've played against some very good teams. We're battle tested, that's for sure. Yeah. In addition to that Kansas trip, we played Black Hills, who was ranked
really good.
We played South Dakota Mines, who actually won against Minot earlier this year. We've played, Concordia St. Paul and Southwest State, who are ranked very high in our league in the preseason. And obviously, Concordia is ranked right now in the top 25. And so we're battle tested. And beating Duluth, who I think has been, obviously, with Moorhead, the class of the Northern Division in this league, I just want to continue to compete at a high level and show up with our identity every day. And if we do that and focus just on the process and not the results, I think we'll be right where we want to be.
Last thing before I let you go, you're 9 games in as a college head coach. Has this gone what you thought? Just give me some surprises that maybe you didn't account for through the first 9-10 games.
I was not ready for the close games. I like the 30-point win and the 30-point loss. I can handle both. I can stomach both of those. We lose by 30. I can go figure that out. We'll turn around and play well the next game. We win by 30. I can take a break at halftime and have a good time and just be happy with it. But the close games, I've got to continue to keep evolving. I think the late game execution against Duluth, I was pretty excited about that. So, it all comes with reps and experience, but I think we've done a good job so far. A lot of credit goes to my staff too; they're great.
It's been fun to watch so far. And that game on Saturday, and I people texted me about it after, like, boy, he looks a lot like his dad. And I mean, that full well. Is it hard not to go there, and for him as well, that his dad hit so many clutch shots that he's done that so early on in his career?
I've told him every day we've been in the gym, you're your own man.
Mm-hmm.
Man, you gotta chart your own course, and you've got to be Issa. You're not Khaled's son, you're Issa. Yeah. And the beauty of it is, Khaled's been at every game. It's awesome.
That's cool.
He's there, and I think he tells them the same thing. Like, walk your own race, run your own race, and be who you are. So it's a cool thing to see. Small side note: we have a picture of Khaled playing at Minneapolis North against Scott Handel.
Wow, that's awesome.
And now these guys are like roommates. It's pretty crazy.
That's wild. That's awesome.
That's how stars aligning.
No doubt. Great stuff. Thanks so much for the time, bud. Safe travels and good luck this week, okay?
Thank you, man. We'll see you.
Jason Kemp joining us on this Tuesday. Dragons out to a 6-3 start. They go to Minot and UMary coming up this weekend in SIC play. All right, we'll take our final break. We come back. We got some breaking baseball stuff that I'm going to throw something in here. It's that time as the hot stove is going, and one team is sitting on the sidelines, and it ain't the Twins. Back to wrap up Hot Mike right after this. All right, wrapping things up here on this Tuesday. We got some hot stove stuff going on. Here's the first that Jeff Passan reporting that the Phillies are in agreement with Kyle Schwarber. I know the Pirates offered Schwarber, but he was never going to go to Pittsburgh. Come on. 5-year, $150 million deal gives the Phillies a much-needed power boost and should pave the way for more free agent signings in the coming weeks. Okay, great. We don't care about that. Here's the one I do. This is the one that's the real kick in the teeth. Edwin Diaz is going to the Los Angeles Dodgers. 3 years, $69 million. Honestly, really? The Dodgers, who were targeting bullpen help this week, what? Got the best closer on the market, setting a new average annual value record for relievers. I mean, that 3 years, $69 million for a guy who throws an inning a game. Yeah, that's pretty good work if you can get it. This is just a kick in the teeth because he has become the most popular Met, arguably next to Pete Alonso over the last couple of years. He's been automatic in the back end of games. Don't even get me started with the trumpet entrance. They can't do that in L.A. It won't be nearly as cool as it was in New York. I know what you're thinking out here, Twins fans. I got two of the richest teams are arguing over a guy to get paid $70 million over 3 years who's a reliever, but that's where we're at. Honestly, the Dodgers now do they have all-stars at every position? Really? Because we know their first baseman is, second baseman was an MVP, shortstop is, third base, pretty good, left field, yep, center field, yep, right field, yep. I mean, come on. Meanwhile, the latest out of the Twins, I saw this today, and if I had time for it, I was going to talk about it. We ended up not doing it, thankfully, to spare the indignity of this. But this is an actual report out of The Athletic. Not only have the Twins signaled their desire to add on to media, agents and teams say there's a change in the team's tone from a month ago. In reversal, the Twins signal a desire for roster additions rather than a teardown. Okay, I'll believe that when I see. If they go and sign somebody that's not off the scrap heap for a deal that's not 1 year and $700,000, then I'll believe it. That's the official report out of The Athletic this morning, that they're not going to trade Joe Ryan, and they're not going to trade Byron Buxton, and they're not going to trade Pablo Lopez. Well, we'll see. The winter meetings are ongoing in Orlando, and some moving and shaking going on. Don't expect the Twins to do it. If we do, holy cow. Like, gotta knock me over with a feather if that ends up going down here over the next little bit. But that's the latest on what's going on out of Orlando in the winter meetings. All right, let's do some what to watch before we get out of here. All right, what to watch brought to us by our friends at Northwestern Mutual. Again, we were supposed to have hoops tonight with Davies and Moorhead, but with Moorhead getting out early today, those games are now not going to happen. So just a heads up on that. We're not sure of anything else happening in Fargo. We just know Moorhead's out. We've not heard anything on the Fargo schools. We've got news coming up, though, here in just a couple minutes to give you the latest on all the school cancellations and early outs going on. All right, NBA Cup quarterfinals tonight. Amazon Prime's got two of them. Knicks and the Raptors. The Raptors, are they good? 7:30 on Amazon Prime. Really good college hoops game tonight. ESPN, Florida and UConn, 8 o'clock. And some hockey tonight as well. The Avalanche and the Predators at 8:30 on TNT. The Avalanche have lost 2 games all season long. One of them in the Wild. They're really good. Check that out tonight on TNT. We got to roll. Thanks to our guests today, to Mike McFeely, to Dave Richman, and Jason Kemp. If you missed any of the show, you can podcast it later today at Inforum.com. You can watch a full replay on WDAY+. Everybody be safe out there. Keep your Storm Tracker app handy. And we'll see you back here tomorrow on Hot Mic on WDAY Extra, KSFL, KMBM, and Inforum.com.